Hey everyone, welcome to our latest webinar. This webinar is being presented by the National Council on Severe Autism in partnership with Autism Society San Francisco Bay Area. Today's topic is ABLE accounts, and we're focusing today on CalABLE. I happen to be sitting in California. You can see a little California sunshine behind me. But I think no matter what state you are in, a lot of the general principles apply broadly. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I think, Anne, if you have specific questions about California or other states, we will have time for Q&A, hopefully lots of time for Q&A at the conclusion of Anne's presentation. Okay, this is being recorded, so don't worry if you have to get up and go out for a while or whatever. Don't worry, we're going to record it. We will send the link to everyone who registered and we will post it on our YouTube channel. So you will get all that information. Another important thing is all the materials, including the slides that Anne is presenting today, are up on our website on the web page for this event. So there's lots and lots of links to refer to as well after this presentation. All right, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Anne Osborne. She is Program Manager for CalABLE. She has been with CalABLE for 2 years, and she has an adult nephew who has autism. So she's familiar with what we are working with and what some of our concerns are. So let's turn it over to her. I'm going to turn myself off, but I will pop back in if I need to ask a question or clarify anything. Okay. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you. I would just like to say thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here. This is something that we do regularly. We come out to groups and present, and so I'm happy to answer questions at the end. So if we can hold those questions to the end, that would be great. What I'm going to do first is just share a video with you. This is something that we produce, and it just kind of introduces CalABLE to you. And then after we show the video, I will start the presentation. So let me start this up for you.
Money can't buy you happiness. We've all heard that before, right? While that may be true, achieving your dreams often requires learning to manage your finances. Whether your dream is to own your own home, get an education, or just become more independent, saving money is often the first step. I know, talking about managing money can be very intimidating, especially for people with disabilities, who also have to consider the added expenses of living a life with a disability and the limits placed on what we can save if we receive government benefits. Your dreams can come true. It's happening for me. I have a disability, and saving for my goals is now a reality since I opened my CalABLE account. With CalABLE, I'm investing some of my money so that it has a chance to grow. I'm saving for an accessible home and to grow my business. Maybe you want or need to save for expenses like moving, or getting a smartphone, or a computer. Maybe you want to save for something big, like a vehicle, or to purchase a home. Maybe you don't have a lot of money, and that's okay. The first step is to set goals and to create a plan to achieve them. CalABLE is a great tool that can help you get there. Opening a CalABLE account is quick and easy. Once your account is open, you can begin to save regularly, maybe for the first time in your life. A CalABLE account is for those of us who have a disability that began before turning 26, but they can be opened at any age. The sooner it is open, the more time your money has a chance to grow. Earnings in an ABLE account are not counted as income. It's tax-free, and you can use the money whenever you like, as long as you use the money to pay for expenses of living life with a disability. So many times, those of us with disabilities have been held back from reaching our dreams. We are told to limit our earnings and savings to keep any benefits we may need, just to cover our basic living expenses. With the CalABLE account, we don't have to hold back.
In fact, you can save up to $100,000 and still be eligible for public benefits, such as housing, food assistance, or health coverage. Best of all, when friends and family contribute to your ABLE account, those contributions won't count against your benefits like crowdfunding apps can.
So, if you're like me or have a family member with a disability and you wish you could save money to help towards expenses today or in the future, join me and thousands of others like me from across the country and open your very own CalABLE account. With a CalABLE savings, I can plan for the future, and so can you.
Call the number on your screen or visit calable.ca.gov to become a CalABLE saver. If you would like to learn more about financial planning, like setting a budget, saving to buy a house, or even understanding your credit score, visit the California State Treasurer's website. The National Disability Institute and ABLE National Resource Center provide information specifically for people with disabilities on the path to saving and investing with CalABLE. Dream, plan, succeed. CalABLE will help you plan for your best possible life.
Let's see, Anne, you have to unmute. Oh, there you are.
Okay, there we go. All right, so now I don't know how I did my video. A second, let me see. Okay, you can see this new presentation, right?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. I don't know why you can't see me, but we'll figure that out later. So anyway, this is CalABLE, and I'm going to go ahead and go through. Oh, okay, there I am. Okay, good. I'm going to go through the basics of CalABLE. There is some information here about ABLE. First, we'll talk about the ABLE background. I know we've got other people on the line that are not residents of California, so we want to include you as well. We'll talk about the basics, how ABLE accounts work, a few investment options, not a lot of investment information, how to open an ABLE account. We'll have some resources, and then we'll have time for Q&A. Let me get started. So the first thing is ABLE, it was part of the ABLE Act, which was passed in 2014, and it was signed by President Obama at the time. What this did is it actually added another section to the IRS tax code. 529 accounts are college savings account, 529A are ABLE accounts. What this bill did, it allowed states to create tax advantage savings and investment programs for people with disabilities. So the ABLE Act is the overall act, act that governs all ABLE programs, but then each of the states has the ability to have a program for their state. So in addition to this act, what this act did also allow is it allows for anybody receiving means tested benefits like SSI or Medi-Cal to have a savings account above the $2,000 resource limit. And that is something that is new for this anybody on disability receiving SSI. They've all been told that if they have $2,000, that's all they can have. If they have anything else, they have to spend it down. But what ABLE accounts allow is for anybody that has any other resources above that $2,000, they can actually be put in an ABLE account. So the ABLE account is really designed to allow you to have some savings, to have some financial support for yourself and your family. CalABLE is actually California's version of the ABLE Act. So every ABLE Act is different, but with California, we have an online-based savings and investment program. So after today's presentation, if you wanted to open a CalABLE account, you can't go to Wells Fargo to open it. You actually need to open this online. We are a national program, So you can actually have a CalABLE account in other states. So we are a national program in that. We are administered by the state treasurer, and we opened our doors in December of 2018. This map here currently illustrates all the states that have ABLE programs. The ones in gray do not have ABLE programs in their particular states. The ones in the light blue, as you can see, they have an ABLE program that is available to the residents of that particular state. So let's say you lived in Oklahoma. Oklahoma does have an ABLE program for residents of Oklahoma. The states in the dark blue, as I mentioned, California, our program is a national program. So you can have a CalABLE account in any state that you reside in. Currently, CalABLE has 7,000 account holders. We have over $70 million in assets under management. And we are currently the 4th largest, fastest growing program of ABLE products. So we are really proud of what we've accomplished, and we are looking to increase our account holder base. So some basics about ABLE. There is, as an ABLE account holder, you can only have one ABLE account. The beneficiary is always the account owner. And this is where I get asked a lot of questions about what's the difference between ABLE accounts and special needs trust. And the biggest difference is in a special needs trust, you have a trustee that manages the account. With an ABLE account, it's the beneficiary that is always the account owner. So there is a difference. We do see ABLE accounts and special needs trusts working together. So, you know, we do get asked that question, why should I have an ABLE account, have special needs trust? And what we always like to say is the special needs trust, you have to ask somebody if you want to make a withdrawal. With an ABLE account, the beneficiary owns that account, and they are the ones that make the decision of if they want to withdraw money or not. On that note, the beneficiary is always the account owner, but the beneficiary can have an authorized legal representative, and that would be a parent, a legal guardian / conservator, or power of attorney that can open that ABLE account on their behalf of the beneficiary. This definition has been expanded. IRS passed some final regulations in November of 2020. All ABLE programs have 2 years to implement these regulations. One of the nice things that they added in this authorized legal representative is they are actually allowing rep payees to open ABLE accounts on behalf of the beneficiary. And this is something that was really needed. We heard from a lot of our regional centers saying, you know, that they had account clients that wanted to have ABLE accounts, but they didn't have any, but they had a rep payee. So now rep payees are on the list as far as an authorized legal representative. CalABLE is currently working on that implementation. I do know there are some states that already have that implemented in their programs. So that is something that the IRS regulations has determined that rep payee should be an authorized legal representative. It should be an option, and that should be implemented by October of this year. Moving on, who is eligible? First and foremost, you must be an individual with a disability, and the onset of that disability needed to occur before your 26th birthday. If you meet the eligibility criteria for disability benefit programs like SSI or SSDI, and your disability began before age 26, you're automatically eligible to open an ABLE account. So if you're receiving benefits and your disability occurred before age 26, you're automatically eligible for an ABLE account. There is another way you can open an ABLE account, and this is called self-certification. And that's when you certify under penalty of perjury that you've been diagnosed by a qualified physician with a physical or mental disability that results in a marked and severe functional limitation that is expected to last a year or longer. With that said, it's not just CalABLE, but all ABLE programs ask that you get a letter from your physician, and that letter should include information regarding your disability. It should also state that the disability likely began before your 26th birthday. All ABLE programs ask you to keep this letter. At CalABLE, we do not ask you for that letter, but we do ask you to keep this letter. And if you, and the reason we ask you to keep that is because these ABLE accounts are monitored by the IRS. And what we also know is when people are going through recertification for means tested benefits, oftentimes they may be asked to show proof of their ABLE account. So we just ask that you keep that information. And again, that's not something that CalABLE will ask. And if you're not sure if your disability qualifies for an ABLE account, we advise you to check the list of compassionate allowances or the Blue Book listings. That's what we use. So as I mentioned before in the presentation, that before the ABLE Act, a person with a disability could not save more than $2,000 in their without impacting their SSI benefits. With the ABLE Act, you can now save up to $16,000 annually. That's been increased from last year. So if you heard 15,000, that was last year. They did raise it up to 16,000 this year, and that annual contribution starts from January to December. You can continually making those annual contributions, but once your account reaches $100,000, at that point, if you want to continue receiving SSI benefits, at that point, you would need to do a spend down if your account goes over $100,000. And that even includes interest. So if your account is basically at $1,000, if you have any interest in that account, if it gets you above that $2,000 threshold, you're going to need to do a spend down if you want to maintain your benefits. If you're, okay, and you want to continue saving, you're certainly encouraged to continue saving. You can make additional contributions, but once you reach the $529,000, that is the dollar amount for contributions. So you can contribute up to $529,000. Your account can continue to grow in interest beyond that, but you would not be able to make any additional contributions once you reach that $529,000 limit. I will let you know that at CalABLE, we do track those contributions that are being contributed to your ABLE account. So if you make a $16,000 annual contribution, let's say you did that in January, you would not be able to make any additional contributions. If you try to, then they would be not accepted. There is another way that you can actually expand that contribution. That $16,000 annual contribution is what we call a general contribution. Any third-party contributions could go into that bucket. And then we have another bucket, which is our Able to Work bucket. And that is if you're working and you want to put that your earnings in from your employer, as long as they're not contributing to a retirement plan, you are allowed to put an additional $12,880 into that work bucket. So again, there's two different ways you can contribute. It's that general contribution, which is capped at $16,000. And if you're working and you're putting your earnings in from your employer, that bucket is capped at $12,880. So if you're using both contributions, you can maximize your account savings to $28,000 per year. So how do ABLE accounts work? Again, these accounts are designed to protect your assets. They cannot shelter income. So if you earn money on a job, it's still going to be considered income. Just putting that money into an ABLE account does not change that. It does protect your assets, but again, any earned income, if you put it into your ABLE account, it's still going to be considered earned income. It does function like a savings or investment account. As I mentioned, anyone can contribute, and that's family, friends, so any income, anyone can contribute. They are treated like the funds are tax exempt as long as they are spent on qualified disability expenses. And a qualified disability expense is the federal government defines it as any expense related to the designated beneficiary as a result of living a life with disabilities that helps maintain or improve your health, independence, or quality of life. This definition is very broad, and it really is, it was intentionally broad. Again, if you can think about this, the ABLE Act is for the entire United States. So to try and give you a formal list, what we have been able to provide are categories. In your resources, I did give you the PALMS. That is what Social Security uses as their guide for ABLE accounts. And then there are more categories, but the ones that we have here to share with you today include education, and that could be a laptop that you need to purchase for education. It could be tutoring, it could be tuition, books, anything that's related to education is considered a qualified disability expense. Housing, I'm going to touch on in a moment. Transportation, it could be Uber rides, public transportation, anything that is related to transportation for the beneficiary, that's considered a qualified disability expense. Healthcare expenses, there could be in-home support, there could be physical therapy, whatever types of healthcare expenses, again, that is considered a qualified disability expense. And then we have and more, and that is a really large category. One of the things I can mention is food is considered a qualified disability expense. So if you want to go to the grocery store, purchase some groceries, if you want to have coffee with your friends, you could do that. So any activity that, again, is this activity going to improve your health, independence, or quality of life? That is really what we use as our guidance. A non-qualified disability expense, we always get asked, well, what is that? A gift, if you were to purchase a gift for a family member. Again, these are monitored by the IRS. We haven't had anybody say that they've been audited by the IRS. The program is about 5 years old, so we haven't had anybody, to my knowledge, bring that up, but we always do caution you that if you do use your CalABLE account for something that would be considered a non-qualified disability expense, then that account is now going to be subject to regular income taxes plus a 10% tax penalty on any earnings in the account, and your benefits could be at risk. So it's harder to find a non-qualified disability expense than it is to find a qualified disability expense. And just yesterday, we did a webinar on qualified disability expenses. So we really went into what is considered a qualified disability expense. So let's talk a little bit about housing. ABLE accounts can be used to pay for housing. And if you're receiving any kind of subsidized housing like HUD, they will not look at ABLE accounts as resources. HUD excludes the following items: ABLE funds in determining family income, third-party contributions from being counted, the entire value of an ABLE account from household assets, and they will exclude any distributions from an ABLE account and not consider them income. The one thing that you do need to be aware of is that if you make any withdrawal from your ABLE account for a housing related expense, you need to do it within that same month. So let's say you have a utility bill that is due. If you withdrew the money in March to pay for your utility bill that's due in April, you cannot do that. You would need to withdraw the money April 1st to pay your utility bill, let's say it's due April 15th. So you need to withdraw your money between the 1st and the 30th of that particular month to pay for any housing related expense. So that is the one condition of use if you're going to use your ABLE account to pay for housing. In California, we do have some added protections. The first thing is all ABLE accounts are protected from any money judgment. So if there is a money judgment against a CalABLE account holder, they are protected from that. In California, we also have a Medi-Cal protection, and I'm going to go into that in just a moment here. So the first thing that we like to talk about here is if you are a CalABLE account holder and you have any outstanding qualified disability expenses and you have passed away, the account holder has passed away, you would want to make sure that you use that CalABLE account to pay for any outstanding qualified disability expenses. And this includes funeral and burial costs. So if there's money in the CalABLE account, you certainly can use it for that. After all those expenses have been paid, then the account is transferred into the deceased individual's estate. At this point, Medi-Cal will only attempt to recover if the deceased was age 55 or older, the individual was a user of comprehensive Medicaid services, and this would be in-home support or skilled nursing. The individual's estate is required to go into probate, which is $150,000 or more. The individual is not survived by a spouse or child under 21 or a disabled child of any age. Again, this is in California. Medi-Cal, the state passed this law, and so Medi-Cal can only recover if all of these things apply. So if it's just one of these things in California, Medi-Cal cannot attempt to recover. I am going to give you a resource at the end of this presentation. It's a nice tool. It's a comparison tool. And in that resource, you could see if your state did have that exemption. So let's talk a little bit here about investments in California. CalABLE is actually managed by TIAA-CREF. TIAA-CREF was the vendor that was selected. We did have a competitive bid process, and they are currently our program administrator. The money can be deposited into a FDIC insured portfolio or invested in any of our 3 target risk investment options. That particular portfolio is what we have here in California for CalABLE account owners. Again, I will share that resource with you that would show who manages those accounts in your state. So I'll share that with you. We do have fees. All CalABLE accounts have some type of fees. Again, you could find that on that resource I will share with you. And then with CalABLE, you can transfer twice between your portfolios. You can do that twice a year. So this is actually taken from the calable.ca.gov website. This is a nice screenshot showing you what our investment portfolios look like. Again, we have the FDIC insured portfolio. And I will let you know that we have about 30% of our account holders use this portfolio. And a lot of times they use it for savings. They may be saving for an accessible vehicle. They could be saving for college. A lot of times we hear people are saving for a down payment. They may be wanting to move out of their location. And so maybe they want to move somewhere else. So they'll put money in here. This we see as more of a transactional type account. People move funds in and out of this. And then for people that are interested, and we have a lot of parents that are saving for their children's future. A lot of times they'll probably be in one of these different portfolios. Quick information here, our conservative portfolio, as you can see, it's 20% stocks, 55% bonds, and then we have a 25% funding agreement. And that is, TIAA-CREF is an insurance product. And so they do have this funding agreement, which guarantees a minimum interest rate. So that is part of that conservative portfolio. Our moderate portfolio, it's pretty much right in the middle, 50% stocks, 45% bonds, and a 5% funding agreement. And then you have your aggressive portfolio, which is 80% stocks and 20% bonds. I have been asked, about these different portfolios, what makes up those portfolios, and all that information is on our cala.ca.gov website. What you don't see on this screen is if you were to hover over this button right here, you could click on it and it would give you all the different funds that make up those accounts. And then there's also information of how these are returning. So that is all available to you on the website. This is what you would see if once you have started the application process, you would see this screen asking you to select your investment options. One of the things that we do like to recommend to anybody that's opening, it's not just CalABLE, but any ABLE program that you're interested in. Each ABLE program has what they call a program disclosure statement. And we really do encourage people to review this because this really gives you all the information. It's all the terms, the conditions, the risk and rules of that particular ABLE program. So we really do encourage everyone to review that before they make their selection. In CalABLE, this again is the screen you would see. This is how you can divide up your portfolio. The takeaway here is that it needs to add up to 100%. In this particular example, this person selected just the target risk investment options and they divided up their portfolio. But this is totally up to the beneficiary to decide, or the authorized legal representative can decide this for the beneficiary. And then I did mention fees. Again, this example here is if you had $3,000 in your account, these would be the fees that would be attached to this account. If you're just doing FDIC insured, there is a $37 annual maintenance fee. And if so that means annual maintenance fee, this is divided over on a monthly basis. So basically in FDIC insured portfolio, you would have a $3 monthly fee. That would be your account maintenance fee. If you're in the investment portfolios, then you're going to have some additional fees, depending on what portfolio you select. On this $3,000 account, this particular fee could range between $2.40 to $2.70. We do have a state administrative fee. Again, this is based on the balance of that $3,000 balance, which is, in this example, $13.20. So roughly in the investment portfolio, you're going to have a little bit more of an annual fee, $52.60 to $52.90. roughly a $5 monthly fee. That is, again, if you had $3,000 in your account. We do have paper statements, and that is an annual fee of $10. So how do you open a CalABLE account? And this, it's not just CalABLE, but most of the ABLE programs are online. So as for CalABLE, we are an online program only. So you would need to go to calable.ca.gov to open this account. Your contributions or deposits can be made by anyone. You can do it as electronic fund transfer, which most of our account holders do. They link up their bank accounts to CalABLE and they transfer between, or you can submit a check, and we do accept those. The other option we have is what is called e-gifting, and this is available to anybody that is a CalABLE account holder. And the way this works is that account holder basically sets up an e-gift similar to a GoFundMe. There's no fees attached to it, but if you are, let's say you're saving for an accessible van, people can actually just put money into your account. They don't need to contact you. You just give people that account, and people can just deposit money into your account when they would like to. We do have what we call the prepaid debit card. This is a nice feature, especially for authorized legal representatives. What is nice is you can use this as a tool if you have, and I know, this is nice because you can put money on this card, and then the beneficiary could actually use it to purchase items. So what's nice about this, it still protects the account. If, let's say you had $3,000 in your account, you could put $100 on this card, and then the beneficiary could go out and use it, but then they wouldn't be able to access all the funds in the account. So again, this is a prepaid debit card. So we do like to remind people, and we've had people call us saying, I got a prepaid card and then I went to the store to try and use it and I couldn't use it. And we always ask them, did you put money on it? And then they're like, oh, I forgot. So again, prepaid debit card, it looks very similar to your debit card, but it is actually a prepaid. So you do need to put money on this. What's nice about the prepaid debit card is it does track all your expenses. So this is a great way for you to do kind of a check and balance where you can look at that statement. It's an online statement, and you can look at your receipts and you can make sure that they match up. So it's a nice check and balance for you there for the prepaid card. What you need to enroll, and this is when you're opening up a CalABLE account, you need to have your social security number and your government issued ID for the beneficiary. And if it's an authorized legal representative, you would need to have both those pieces of information. Again, this is an online system, so we do make sure that the person that is trying to open the account is actually the person that is the account owner. We do just, double check all that information matches. We do have a $25 initial deposit that basically just opens the account. As I mentioned, there is an annual account maintenance fee of $37. So if you open your account with that $25 initial deposit, you would need to make another $25 deposit 3 to 5 months later. Otherwise, your account could close. Well, it actually would close because of those fees if you don't make a second $25 initial deposit. The other thing is, if you're going to link it to that bank account, you do need to have the routing and the account number because ABLE accounts only have, for California, only have account numbers. So in order to transfer funds, we do need to have that routing number from your bank account so we can transfer those funds for you. So when you're So you're ready to open, and I know we have other people here from out of state, but for CalABLE, this is what you would see when you're ready to open your CalABLE account, and it's the calable.ca.gov. That is our portal. You would see open an account, and this is where you would open an account. What's nice, so we do have these other menu items up here. And if you want more information about CalABLE, we have that, who's eligible, some plan benefits. Again, we have a tab here for qualified expenses, and all that information about the savings and investment choices that can be found right here. So you can link there, and that would give you all the information concerning those portfolios and how those are responding. I talked about additional resources. The first thing I like to let you know is we have this other resource called Achievable Corner, and you can access this through the calable.ca.gov website. You would go there, and you would come down to Achievable Corner, and this is a question and answer type scenario. There are 3 different examples that you can go through, walks you through the process, and it's a very helpful tool. At the state treasurers, our CalABLE resources, we have this, and this actually is where you can get to all our webinars. We have been doing webinars since June 2020, and so we have a really comprehensive library on CalABLE and just specific topics. As I mentioned, we just did one yesterday on qualified disability expenses. There's a special needs trust in there. We've had people from HUD on our webinars. We've had the Social Security Administration Office. We've had Medi-Cal on there. So it really is comprehensive. So I would encourage you to look at that as you're making your decision, or if you just want to know more information from besides today's presentation. I did talk about the ABLE National Resource Center, and that is ablenrc.org. This is really a great tool. I really encourage any of our out-of-state viewers to really go onto this website. This website does a state-by-state comparison tool. And what you can do is you can put 3 different states. So let's say you're in California, New Mexico, Florida. I guess I like sunshine today. Anyway, so you can put those 3 states up, and you can actually look at that comparison tool and see what each state has, their investments, it's just a really nice tool. It would let you know if they have the Medi-Cal exemption. So it's a really, their fees and just all that information is available on that website. We have Disability Benefits 101. That is just another resource for you. And then I did mention the PALMs, and this is industry-wide. All ABLE programs use the PALMs as a reference. So whenever we get questions here at CalABLE, is this a qualified expense or anything, we always go to the PALMs, and that is what we use as our information guide. Our staff is 3 people. Dante Allen is our executive director. Myself, I am Anne Osborne, the program manager, and then Matt Harmith is our program analyst. And we basically promote CalABLE throughout the state of California. So we are a busy team. If you do have any program related questions about CalABLE, certainly feel free to send us an email at calable@treasurer.ca.gov. We certainly will respond. And we do have a number. You can call our office, and that number is 916-653-1728. So you can certainly reach out to us either via email or phone, and we will answer any program related questions. The next slide here is our Enrollment Center, and I can't say enough about our Engagement Center. They really are the people that are assisting all our customers with all their questions about their accounts. So I mentioned our number. We are program related. So if you call us at the CalABLE office, we we do not have access to anybody's account. So if you're calling for an account question, you really do need to call our engagement center, and that's 833-225-2253. And they will take you from the beginning. If you start to open your account, you're in the portal and you have a question or you get stuck, certainly reach out to these guys. They can walk you through it. They will not transfer you to another department. They really are there to assist you. And I've just heard just tons of positive feedback from anybody that's reached out to them. We are on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I don't have that on here, but yes, we are on all social media platforms. If you would like more information about CalABLE, we ask that you sign up for our mailing list. This is how we keep in contact with people as far as letting them know when our monthly webinars are. If there's any change, I know there's the Able Age Adjustment Act out there that we've been following, and that is currently in Congress right now. And what that act would do is it would increase the age from age 26 to age 46 as far as people being eligible for ABLE accounts. So any new development on that, we certainly would be sharing that with you as well. Our next webinar in March is going to be working with the disability, and we are going to be having the Department of Rehab on this webinar as one of our panelists. And I'm not sure who our second panelist will be, but we will definitely have this on the web. This will be our topic. We do have a lot of people that are working, have CalABLE accounts, and so we have found that this is a really interesting topic for people to join. We have questions. I'll take those in a moment, and this is our disclaimer that I do want to share with you, and that is it. I will come back on screen and answer any questions.
Thanks, Anne. That was a lot of information. Hard to digest, I think, for beginners. I have CalABLE accounts for both of my kids, Johnny and Sophie, and have been contributing now for a couple years. So the account really has grown. I've seen it grown. I've hardly tapped into the funds yet, though will do. Okay, a few questions. Now, if somebody opens an account in California, moves to another state, obviously they don't have to change their CalABLE, right? Their ABLE provider, right? They can stay in CalABLE, right?
They can stay.
If they wanted to transfer to another ABLE plan, they could?
Yes, and that's what we would call a rollover. And we always, we love to have you in CalABLE, but if your state, like California, has those extra benefits that you can receive as a resident of California and a CalABLE account holder. If you move to another state, you would not have those protections as far as the Medi-Cal. So that particular state may have different benefits. So you always want to check that, and that ablenrc.org resource that I gave you is a perfect example, a perfect tool for you to check. So if you were moving to another state, you could see what their ABLE plan was. If it's not something that you don't think, you could keep your CalABLE account if that state doesn't have a better program. It's really up to the account holder at that point, but certainly you can roll over.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So some people had questions about the ID used to open the account. What government IDs are commonly used? Obviously, our population doesn't have driver's licenses.
Right.
Or rarely passports. So,
something that's going to basically prove that who you say you are. I'm guessing, a birth certificate that if you were, when you get your driver's license, you have to take your birth certificate, right? To say this is who I was. So having that proof of who you are, that's really what they're looking for, to make sure you are who you say you are. So a birth certificate would certainly suffice for that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I used. Someone asked, do we need to make a new bank account? I think she's a little confused about the program. Or is it a bank account, bank of our choice? I think she doesn't quite understand. Maybe you can shed some light for her.
So if you currently have, let's say, Bank of America, that is your current checking savings account, you can maintain that, but then if you, and then you could open your CalABLE account, and your CalABLE account is a place where you could transfer money from that B of A account into your CalABLE account. So let's just say you're receiving SSI and you happen to get a birthday gift of $100 and you don't want to go over your resources. So you put that in your bank account, your Bank of America account, and then you could just transfer that $100 into your CalABLE account. So it's just it's an easy way for you to put any additional resources, income resources that you have, you can put it into that CalABLE account. So they actually work together. It's not like you have to have all these separate accounts. It's just to complement your existing bank account that you have.
Right. Okay. She's asking, I don't understand the two CalABLE choices, which is best for a minor. I think she's asking about all of the different investment options. Maybe like, how does someone choose which is the best option for them?
We really cannot make that determination for you. That's really a risk type question. It's really, what are you comfortable with? What we have seen, the pattern that we have seen over the last 3 years, is we get a lot of people that start off in the FDIC insured because that's 100% insured, and that's what they're comfortable with. Even just learning how to save is something that our population has really not been allowed to do. They've been, and we hear this all the time, that I only can have $2,000. I can't have anything else. So starting off, even just in that FDIC insured portfolio, they start developing those saving habits. And then once they feel comfortable, and this is when we start seeing people transitioning, okay, I'm good, I'm happy here, but maybe I might want to take a little bit of a risk. They don't have to take all their money. They could do 10% if they want, and they could still keep 90% of that in the FDIC insured. So it's really how comfortable the person is taking that risk, and they can start very small, and then they can increase it as their comfort level expands. So it's really up to the individual. So that's the best way I can answer the question without saying,
like today, the stock market took a big dive, right? So if somebody can't, withstand that sort of risk, they probably don't want to be in one of the more aggressive portfolios.
Exactly.
Okay. This question is, my son has Medi-Cal due to his autism.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that CalABLE will not affect my son's Medi-Cal insurance.
It will not affect. Again, they do not count that as part of a resource. It's not looked at. And we've actually had Medi-Cal on our webinar, and you can always go look at that one if you want to have more information on that, but they do not.
How do you prove that what you are taking out of the ABLE account is spent on something that's eligible? And I think, what you said, like almost everything is eligible. Like gifts to your friends, gifts to your parents, those aren't eligible. Probably some illegal activities aren't eligible, I'm guessing. Almost anything is a disability qualifying expense from what I understand. Like if you want to take a vacation, right? Because it improves your mental health and, your education, that's eligible, right? You want to buy a TV, it's eligible. I mean, like it's hard to find things that aren't eligible.
You're absolutely right. And we struggle with that question all the time. But I will say that CalABLE is not like a bookkeeper, right? We don't say, okay, you spent money on that. We want to check that. We do not ask for receipts. We don't check receipts. Again, we are the place where you can save your money. How you spend that money, that is something that you decide on your own. What we do is we have the guidelines that the federal government did. And again, it's super broad. We aren't the monitoring agency. Again, this is the federal, it's the IRS that could possibly come and audit you. We haven't heard of that. Where I hear people being maybe asked for proof of a CalABLE, I hear it's usually during recertification. CalABLE does report monthly to SSA. So they do know that you have a CalABLE account. But again, Social Security, and we've actually been we have a good relationship with Social Security. We have been out doing presentations to all the offices in California. There's some places we haven't been able to get to. But a lot of times, and I think it's just an education of Social Security because they're so used to making sure you stay on that $2,000 means tested, that you don't go above that. And so it's just that education with Social Security that the ABLE accounts don't count as a resource. And we've had people call us, and we have reached out to Social Security on their behalf. We've provided letters. So sometimes it's just an education for that particular worker that they're just not familiar with CalABLE. And it is not, it's in the palms. That's why we like to provide the palms for everybody, so they see exactly what Social Security is seeing. So it's not a surprise. So I think just having the information and the resources is really the key. So it's not going to affect. And if you have any problems, certainly reach out to us.
Okay. I want to ask kind of two checklist questions. All right. So the first checklist question is, in terms of the funds that you put into an ABLE account, or at least in this case, CalABLE account, that can be, gifts from your parents, gifts from your grandparents, any other gifts, right? You can put into the ABLE account up to $16,000 a year.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, apart from those gifts, what can you take money out of your SSI rep payee account and put that into CalABLE?
Yep.
You can. And what about, and obviously you covered this, if you're working and you make a little bit of money, the beneficiary is making a little bit of money, that can go into the ABLE account. But the issue is the $16,000 cap.
Right.
Right.
Right. And if you're working, you can actually put it in that other bucket of the 12,000 bucket. So you could actually.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. Our population isn't working. So unfortunately that doesn't apply to us, but yes, you're right about that. So if you win the lottery, like, you can't put all that money in a CalABLE account, like, because
if your earning is less than $16,000.
Yeah, okay. If you win a small lottery, yeah. And then if you save over the years, you can contribute up to more than $500,000, right? And then earn the interest after that. So it could become, if you start young, it's quite possible that you could end up with a sizable account. I haven't done the math, but it seems like if you're really diligent about getting people to contribute that 16 grand a year. Too bad we can't get 10 people to contribute 16 grand a year, but whatever. Okay. So
we'll
now
take the 16, right? Baby steps, as they say.
Yeah. Hopefully it grows over time, except today when it's not growing and it's and the value is declining. Okay. Thanks, Russia, for that. Now, the other checklist is getting the money out of the account, right? So you can use the prepaid debit card, right? You can make a withdrawal request, right? Like online, let's say, because, like, for example, for my kids, their major expenditures are helpers, especially I have a very, very severely autistic son. The vast majority of the money that goes into my son is for round the clock care, right? Debit card isn't going to help me. I can't say, here, Aid, here's a debit card, right? So to pay them with the ABLE account, I would have to do what? Ask for a withdrawal from the account and then pay them?
Yeah,
Write a check for, how do I do it?
there are no checks. I mean, you can get a physical check from your CalABLE account. It's going to cost you $5 a month.
Oh, interesting.
$5 for each check. So really, it's best just to withdraw from that ABLE account, put it right into your regular checking account. You have a record of the withdrawal. You probably want to make a note saying, this is to pay Sandy Smith for services, right? And then you just make the withdrawal, and then that's all you need to do. So we always ask, whenever you're making any withdrawals, either it's you can justify that withdrawal. Either it's a receipt, or in your case, you may not get a receipt. Maybe she just writes a piece of paper, 8 hours at $10 an hour. So that was $80. That was her fee, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure, I know it's more now, but that's just
Yes, it is.
But she could just basically write your receipt back and say, this is what it was. And now you've got it for your records.
Yeah.
And we recommend 2 to 3 years that you save those receipts. We don't really anticipate it, but again, as I said, where we see most of it coming from is in recertification, not from the IRS, it's in the recertification.
In recertification, I'm sorry, from
for Social Security, for
Social
SSI,
Security.
if you're in
for
SSI.
social. Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
let's
the
just a few
reason.
more questions because we're at the end of our hour.
Okay.
There's an easy question. You mentioned healthcare. Can these funds be used to cover prescriptions, doctor visits, etc.?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yep.
This woman's trying to understand how to make sure CalABLE won't affect benefits, but as you explained, up to $100,000,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
In not contributions, but in savings, right?
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. So if you're fortunate enough to have built up your CalABLE account over time and it reaches $100,000, and this will probably happen like with my kids, if I keep contributing in a couple of
Right.
years, I'm going to have to start spending that down, right? To
Mhm.
keep it under $100,000
Right.
if I want to retain their Social Security benefits, for example.
Right.
Right. And I bet that will be an issue for families. I'm assuming, maybe not right now because CalABLe's still a little new, but in coming years,
Yeah.
right? That $100,000 threshold. I mean, a lot of people in our community, at least because our community, everybody's, eligible for Social Security because they're so severely disabled. They won't reach the $500,000, right, contribution because they want to keep it under 100 million.
Right.
100 million, 100,000. 100 million would be great.
And we haven't seen that yet, even with the older programs. I don't think anybody has gotten to those thresholds. So,
yeah, but I'm saying
I
in
know
some
it's
years, if people,
2014.
yeah, it's not for right now. I've imagined most accounts are smaller. Or under
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, what is meant by the $529,000 total contribution cap? That's the maximum that you can put in the account. But it will earn interest, but you
Right.
can't make more contributions.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right. Someone says, what if you get an inheritance over $16,000? Well, you still can only put $16,000 in the ABLE account, and whatever is over that will have to go into another account.
Right. And we've seen this where, and that's kind of where I was saying CalABLE and Special Needs Trust kind of work nice together. You may have the Special Needs Trust where maybe you would put, the remaining balance of that inheritance in that Special Needs Trust. And then, each year you transfer into your CalABLE account. So we have seen that, and that's where it's nice that those two work together in that way.
Yes. Okay, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Anne Osborne. That was very informative, and people have asked about the recording and also the slides. Again, the slides are on our website. If you go to ncsautism.org, go to webinars, go to the ABLE webinar, click on that, and you'll see all the materials, and we will post the recording of this there as well later today. Any
Thank
last words,
you.
Anne, before we close?
I'm just so appreciative that you guys reached out to us. You know, if there's anybody here who's with any other organizations, certainly reach out to me. I'm more than happy to come out. And now that we have Zoom, you know, we pretty much can go out anytime. So even evenings, I do evenings, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I've done Zoom presentations. So, you know, I just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and let you know about CalABLE. And again, if anyone has any other places that we would be of service, we certainly are willing to come out and present. So thank you so much for your time.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Anne. Bye, everyone.
Bye.